Hi, my name is Sydney, and today I will be showing you how to do a simple granny square crochet, and we will be using it to turn it into a bag. So stay for the video. I would say this was more of like a maybe beginner, intermediate beginner, and I'll be showing you the full thing. If you need to see the stitch and how it is made and the pattern, it will also be put in the description. So just stay and watch the video. Okay, now you're going to want to always check and make sure you have all the materials and parts for this. So you'll need your yarn, which this is what it looks like for me, and the hook size for this yarn. I'm personally using a 6.5 millimeter, and you can just use whatever yarn or hook you have. It really does not matter as long as you are following the pattern and you're making sure that you are doing it how you need to do it. So the first thing you want to do is make a magic ring, which if you don't know, it's like this. You cross it over your finger, then you take your hook and you want to go under this loop right here. You're going to go under and you're going to hook the one that went above it, bring it under, and then you're going to want to pinch right here. And then once you have it like this, you're going to want to chain 1, 2. Now you're here. Now you're going to want to do a double crochet, which you basically yarn over, go into your loop, grab the yarn, take through 2 loops, hook, grab another piece of yarn, and take through the other 2. Now, you have this, which was going to be counted, which we normally don't count as a double crochet. Now you have the actual double crochet, and you're going to want to do that 2 more times for this part. 1, 2. Now, that is 3 double crochets for the first part of your square, and you're going to want to chain 1, and this is supposed to be like your chain 1 space once we get to that point, and you're going to repeat the step of making 3 double crochets as so, and then you're going to want to chain another 1, and you're going to do this till you have 3, I think 3 more, yeah. You're going to want to do this till you have 3 more groups of double crochets, which in total you should have 4, including this part. And I'll just keep showing you till we get to that point together. That is 3 right there. So now you chain 1, and then you go back under to do a double crochet again. And so far, we only have 3 groups of it. The space is right here. That's the space, and that's 1 group, your second group, and I'm working on the 3rd right now. Now that's 3, and we're on the last one, which would be your 4th. And you're going to repeat the step of chaining 1, and then doing 3 double crochets. And that is the last one. Now you should have 4 groups. It should be 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you're going to want to take this yarn from your magic circle, this little piece sticking out right here, and you're going to want to tighten it, tighten your circle and close it like so. You might need to pull on it a little bit. Now it's closed like this, and you can see there's no holes except for the chain 1 spaces. And the next part, you're going to want to do a half double crochet to close this off. So that is yarn over, and you're supposed to go into the 3rd one of this chain, or the very top, which would be right here. And you're going to go into it, get both pieces on, hook, take through it. Now instead of doing a double crochet, you're gonna yarn over and go through all 3 loops. Now that is the first step of making your granny square, and you are going to next chain 2 and flip your project. Now you're on the back side. You are going to go into this space right here and double crochet 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, once that you've had that, you are going to yarn over, and this time you're going to go into the chain 1 space that you made right here and do 3 double crochets. Now that is your 3 right there. Now you're going to chain 1 as so. That's your chain 1 right there. And you're going to do another 3 into the loop of the other 3 again. Now, it should look like this. You should have a little corner so far. And this step that you just did right here, you're going to do again. You're going to yarn over, go into your next empty chain 1 space right here. You're going to go in, and you're going to do 3 double crochets. Two, 3. Now you're going to chain 1, go in again and do 3. 1, 2, 3. Now that you are here, what you just did for these 2, you do for this spot. And once you get to this spot, you are going to go from this spot into here, and you're going to do 3. But instead of doing a chain 1, you're going to half double crochet into the top again, which I will demonstrate for the people that need to see what it looks like. Now you do your 3 again. If you need to slow down the video, go ahead and slow it down. Nobody's stopping you. Now we are at the next part where you go into this with this one. And you go into this spot again. So you go here, here, and then you do 1. That's your first double crochet into this spot. You do another one. That's your second. And then you do a third one, which will count as your 3 double crochets into this space again to make another part of your square. Now, this is where you half double crochet into this chain right here. Now, you have just completed 2 out of the 3 rows you need of this. Which you've completed the 3. Now this step you just did right here, you will do another time going out, and that will be your 3rd row for this part of the square. And you will repeat this again till you get your desired amount that you want to do. Personally, I did 3 by 3 for my bag, and that was 9 parts in total, so it'll be 9 squares for each side of the bag. and that's what I personally did since it was 3x3, but you can do a different amount if you want to, and you'll set them out a certain way, but just continue to work on your projects by chaining 2, flipping it, going back into that chain 1 space, now that is your next one. You're going to want to do it again, except in this part right here, since you now have another hole, which I'll bring it closer. You now have another hole instead of this spot. You're just going to do 3, and you're not going to chain 1 or add another 3, just 3 double crochets. And that's 3. Now you will yarn over and go into your corner part where you are going to do 6 double crochets with the chain 1 space. That's 3 on this side. Then you're going to want to chain 1 and do another 3 on the other side of that chain 1. And you're going to just keep following this side to this side, down this side, and then you're going to come back to where you originally started, and that is where you're going to do your half double crochet and close off the square and make your next amount following this pattern. Now I will repeat what I said in the beginning, that this is down in the description, since the next part of this video will be how to connect these pieces and start sewing it together and creating the straps of the bag. Now if you need to repeat this part of the video, there's no shame in doing that. You can repeat it and slow it down if you need to. If you have any suggestions about how I could change this, go ahead and put it in the comments and I will read them. But you will continue this till you get to your desired amount, which I personally am going to do 9. Now I will say I am not just using this yarn color, I am using a different one, which you can always do. You can instead, I will show you one where you can like cut off the extra pieces of yarn of the color you are done with and connect the next color that you want to use. But for right now, this will be a solid colored one of this yarn. And this is the one I'll be using right now to demonstrate if you were to do a solid colored tote bag. Just going to continue down the sides. And I will say, if you are using a thinner or a skinnier yarn compared to this yarn, yours may have the holes showing a bit more. Or if you're using a more thicker, fluffier yarn, it could also look very different. I will say all yarns kind of work different depending on which pattern you are going to do. You will just continue. Now we are getting closer to finishing, and I will show you how you can close this off. And it'll be just the exact same as how you would move on to your next row or piece, except you will be cutting off a end instead of continuing. Now, if you do prefer to have it a bit larger, or you want to make it longer or add more pieces to here, you can continue to do the pattern I've shown you for these 2 rows and go out however far or however long you want to take it. And that is how you will add the extra rows depending on how you want it. I personally only did 3 because I wanted this bag to be a bit smaller since it is a gift for someone. Now you are at the finish part, and this is where it comes in. You will do a half double crochet like normal, when you go through, now you're sitting here, you're going to yarn over, go through, and pull this part down. Then you want to pull that, and then you want to take your scissors. Now, I personally will sometimes leave a little bit of an extra piece if I know I'm going to need it for sewing, but how I'm sewing this together, I don't need this, so I can cut it off once I do this last part. So now you will take it and you will pull this part down like this, and then you will tie a knot right above it and try to get it as close to the stitch as possible, so it's hardly not noticeable when you sew it in. So it'll have like a little knot right there, will be your little knot, and you can do it a second time just for good measure. I personally do it 2 times just to make sure it doesn't come undone as I'm sewing or as I'm working on the other pieces. Now, I know some people will put this on a block to stretch out and hold its place like this, but personally I just leave it like this. I'll stretch it out a little if I feel like it to get a bit of a better look at it, and I'll sometimes stretch it out if I know the project requires me to do that, but if it does not, I will leave it alone. And I will now show you how to change the color midway through if that is how you're going about it. I do have a second color of yarn. This is the next color of yarn I will be using to show this part. Now, it is literally just the same as when you first did it. You're going to be doing a magic circle. You're going to be going under. Well, it's called a magic ring. My bad, sorry. You're going to go under. You're going to pinch this part if that's what you need to keep it balanced or in place as you do 1, 2. Now, once you have your 2, you will repeat the same process you had for the first part of your last square, which was the 3s, double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochets, chain 1. You will repeat that step for this part too. Now, you repeat that until you get your 4, and then you will close off the magic ring. Okay, and now you should have your groups of your 3 double crochets and chain 1s. And you will close this off just like you did beforehand with your other square. May have to give it a little tug and pinch at the same time. But once you got it closed like this is where you can switch the colors. Now you will go through like you're about to do a normal double crochet in your spot, and you will stop right here. This is where you'll stop. Now you will go get your other color or other yarn that you're about to use, and you will cut off this extra piece right here. Now that is cut off, you may have to pin it against your project as you switch to your next color. Now you could hold it like this, where it is pinned down, and you're pinching it front and back, and go in with your other color using your other finger, this one, to hold it down like this. And you can make it to where the same length as the other one if you prefer to do that. It really does not matter in the end. Now you will get your yarn color together, and you will yarn over, holding on to that backspace, and go through all 3 of these. Now you can also use the other yarn to the other color to tighten it down and hold it into place. Now that you have it like this, you're going to want to 1, 2, like you did before, flip it over. Now this time you will take these extra pieces and hold it under in place while you go through and do your double crochets again, like so, like that. That is how you're gonna hold it. You're gonna do 3 and then you're gonna repeat it just like the other one, and the same way you switch the colors like this is how you're gonna switch the colors in the next part. Now do your squares, and the next part of this video will show you how to put them together. Okay, now that you have gotten all of your squares, I'll be showing you how to sew them together so you can get your bag started. I will say you will need a darning needle, which is thicker than most needles and is made for sewing crochet. So the first thing is I will show you what pattern I personally used for my bag, for the first part of my bag. Which is basically a sewn pattern, and this is what it looks like so far. I basically sewed the edges together to create a 3x3 square, which you will need to repeat for both sides of the bags unless you plan to fold it in half, which in that scenario you would end up needing to crochet or squares so you could have a more balanced perspective of it. So now I will show you how to sew them, and you got your 2 squares. I personally like to take the little stubs that is where the original yarn that you were working with is and put them next to each other like this. And sometimes if I have extra like this, I'll go ahead and cut it if I realize like, hey, I didn't cut it the first time around. But I put them together so the nubs are right next to each other like this. Then I will take the darning needle, which I already put yarn on it. I make sure to get a nice amount of yarn on there. I will go through right there, push my yarn through. Now I will suggest you go from the other side, which is where this extra string is from the thing is, because I consider that the inside. I would go from inside to outside. And you just poke it through here, and you sew it through, and then it's like that. You go over to the other piece and do the exact same thing. Now you should be sewing away from you in the case that you're following with me. You should be sewing up, and you will need to turn your project around after getting the first piece in. And then you will continue to do an over-under pattern where you just go through, and you can also sew down pieces if you need to, and you can just do it according to how you personally want it. I know there are some people that'll say you're supposed to do it a certain way, but I personally just do it based off of what is best for me, and that is how you can do it unless you want to sew it a certain way, which I do suggest looking for a video to show you how that is happening because I'm doing it a certain way. Now you can sew together all these pieces till it is fully closed, and then you can come back to the part where I show you how to make the strap part of your bag. And that will be it for the bag once you make the strap, and it'll be the exact same as you're doing now of you sewing it down onto your parts. So thank you for watching this video. If you can like and subscribe, that'd be amazing. If you have any suggestions or anything that you think I should do a tutorial on next, please comment it below and I will look at it and see if I can find a pattern or come up with one for it. Have an amazing day, and until next time. So I do have a finished product here. I know I did kind of forget a couple of steps, which is why I did say it's kind of like intermediate beginner. You should be able to kind of fill the gaps in. But this is what the finished product looks like. I have a strap. I do plan at some point maybe to add a second strap to it so it's not just one. But that is the full video. I know this video is kind of janky, maybe a little shaky. But this is my first ever video, so over time I will hopefully get better at it. If you like this video, like and comment maybe how I could change or fix the way I make these videos. And if you can, I would really like if you subscribed or asked other friends to come watch this video too. Thank you and have an amazing day.